In 2001, a young millionaire stood on a Moscow street, his shoes stained with the spit of a Russian rocket designer. Elon Musk had been laughed out of the room. They called him an amateur, a dreamer with more money than sense. But humiliation is a powerful fuel. Musk didn't just want to buy rockets anymore. He decided he would build them from scratch. The early years were a nightmare. 3 launches, 3 failures, 3 pillars of smoke and fire that cost millions. By late 2008, the money was gone. The PayPal millions evaporated. SpaceX was on its final breath. One more failure, and the dream of Mars would die on a remote Pacific island. This was the moment that would change history forever. If you're ready to see how the impossible became reality, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep documentaries like this. Let's dive in. SpaceX wasn't born in a high-tech lab. It was born in the fires of rejection and a shared belief that the stars were within reach. In March 2002, with a team of elite but unproven engineers, Musk began a journey that the giants of aerospace, Boeing, Lockheed, and even NASA, deemed a fool's errand. They were trying to do what no private company had ever done: reach orbit. But the path to the stars is paved with disaster. In the next few minutes, we'll explore the secret engineering hurdles that almost ended the SpaceX story before it even began. March 24, 2006. The first Falcon 1 lifted off from Kwajalein Atoll. For 33 seconds, it was a triumph. Then, a tiny fuel leak turned into a catastrophic fire. The rocket plummeted into the Pacific, along with years of work and millions of dollars. The post-mortem was brutal. A single corroded nut had failed. It was a lesson in the unforgiving physics of space. But in the hangar, the team was already working on the next one. They didn't have time to mourn. 1 year later, Flight 2 soared even higher. It reached the edge of space, but the second stage shut down prematurely. It was closer, but in rocketry, almost is just another word for failure. The pressure from the industry and the press was reaching a breaking point. By now, the PayPal fortune was nearly gone. Musk was pouring his last dollars into the company, choosing between his employees' salaries and his own home. SpaceX wasn't just fighting gravity, it was fighting bankruptcy. 2 shots left, 2 chances to save a dream. But the third flight would bring a disaster that no one saw coming, one that would force Elon Musk to make the hardest decision of his life. We'll explore that turning point in Part 2. August 2nd, 2008. After 2 failures, the world was watching. This wasn't just another launch. It was carrying NASA satellites and the remains of a Star Trek icon. Failure was not an option. For the first few minutes, it was perfection. The new Merlin 1C engine was a masterpiece, pushing the limits of what a private company could achieve. Success felt inevitable. But then came stage separation. A tiny design error, just 1.5 seconds of residual thrust, caused the first stage to surge forward. It bumped the second stage, a gentle tap in the vacuum of space, with fatal consequences. Control was lost. The rocket, the satellites, and the hopes of hundreds of engineers tumbled back into the atmosphere. 3 flights, 3 failures. The critics were no longer just laughing, they were calling for the end. This failure sparked what Elon Musk would call the worst year of his life. His personal life was collapsing, and his companies were running on fumes. SpaceX was essentially broke. Musk had $30 million left, his last remaining personal cash. It wasn't enough to save both SpaceX and Tesla. He had to choose. He was waking up in physical pain, facing a contentious divorce and the public humiliation of 2 failing startups. The world's most ambitious dreamer was now its most desperate man. Musk made a decision that many called insane. He split his remaining cash between both companies. It was a gamble that guaranteed certain death if even one thing went wrong. SpaceX had parts for only one more rocket, one more chance. Even preparing for the final flight was a disaster. While in transport, the 4th rocket's fuel tank partially imploded. Engineers had to crawl inside the tank, popping the dented metal back out like a soda can while the plane was still in the air. September 28, 2008. The final rocket. The final chance. If this failed, SpaceX would die. and the modern space age would never begin. In Part 3, we witness the miracle. With the money nearly gone and only one chance left, the SpaceX team did the impossible. They assembled a fourth rocket in just 6 weeks using nothing but spare parts and pure adrenaline. This wasn't just engineering, it was survival. Even the journey to the launch pad was a disaster. The rocket's fuel tanks partially imploded in flight. Engineers had to perform emergency surgery on the pad, popping the dented metal back out like a soda can. One wrong move, and it was over. September 28, 2008, Hawthorne, California. The atmosphere in Mission Control was a mix of intense dread and quiet desperation. They knew that if this rocket didn't reach orbit, the dream of SpaceX died today. Ignition. For the fourth time, the Falcon 1 roared to life. It cleared the tower and pushed through Max Q, the point of maximum stress. Every second felt like an eternity. T plus 9 minutes, 31 seconds. The second stage successfully separated. The Kestrel engine ignited. And then, silence. Orbit confirmed. The room erupted. Unbridled joy. SpaceX had just made history. The success of Flight 4 didn't just put a dummy payload into orbit, it saved the company. Less than 3 months later, on December 23rd, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to resupply the ISS. SpaceX was no longer a joke. It was a lifeline for American spaceflight. This was a new way of doing business. No more guaranteed profits for old aerospace giants. NASA would only pay if SpaceX delivered. This fixed-price contract sparked a revolution that would slash the cost of reaching the stars. With the contract secured, Musk could finally stop fighting for survival and start building the future. The small Falcon 1 had done its job. It was time to build something much, much bigger. It was time for the Falcon 9. Reaching orbit was the first miracle. But Musk wanted more. He wanted to do what every expert said was impossible: bring the rocket back home. In Part 4, we begin the hunt for the holy grail of rocketry: vertical landing. For 50 years, rockets were built to be disposable, multi-million-dollar machines used once and thrown into the ocean. Elon Musk wanted to change that. He wanted the holy grail of rocketry, a reusable booster. It started with the Grasshopper. In a quiet Texas cow pasture, this skeletal rocket began to hop. First a few inches, then hundreds of feet. It was the first time the world saw a rocket that could truly dance. But landing on land was too dangerous for a first attempt. The ocean became SpaceX's laboratory. In 2014, they proved they could guide a booster back from orbital speeds to a vertical hover over the waves. The dream was working. To actually reuse the rocket, they needed a platform. Enter the drone ship, a tiny target in a vast ocean. Landing a 14-story building on a moving ship while traveling at 3,000 miles per hour was called impossible. The failures were spectacular. One booster ran out of hydraulic fluid, another's valve stuck. Each time they hit the deck and exploded. But if you're finding this journey as explosive as we are, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Then, disaster struck where they least expected it. During the CRS-7 mission, a single 2-foot steel strut failed. The rocket disintegrated mid-ascent. SpaceX was grounded. The quest for reusability was on hold. 6 months later, they returned. Flight 20. This was the debut of the full-thrust Falcon 9. Musk decided to skip the drone ship and go for the ultimate prize, a landing on solid ground. December 21, 2015. For the first time in history, an orbital-class booster returned home. It stood tall on the pad at Cape Canaveral. The industry was changed forever. Reusability was no longer a theory. It was a reality. One landing was a miracle, but could they do it again? And more importantly, could they fly the same rocket twice? In Part 5, we witness the birth of the fleet. The era of the used rocket begins. In the world of aerospace, used was a dirty word. For decades, the idea of flying a pre-owned rocket was seen as a reckless gamble. But for SpaceX, it was the only path to the stars. The industry giants laughed. They said the inspection and refurbishment costs would exceed the price of a new rocket. They called it a publicity stunt. Then came SES, a major satellite operator willing to put a multi-million-dollar payload on a flight-proven booster. It was the vote of confidence SpaceX desperately needed. The rocket chosen was B-1021. It had already flown to space once. Now it was about to do what no liquid-fueled orbital booster had ever done: go back. March 30th, 2017. Launch Complex 39A, the same pad that sent men to the moon. The stakes couldn't have been higher. If this failed, the dream of reusability would be set back by years. Ignition. For the second time, the same engines roared to life. B-1021 was heading back into the void. The ascent was flawless. The booster provided nearly 3 minutes of thrust before separating, leaving the second stage to carry the satellite to its final orbit. Then came the re-entry. The booster slammed into the atmosphere at hypersonic speeds, using its engines as a shield. It was a baptism of fire. Touchdown. For the second time, B-1021 came home. It was the definitive proof. Reusability wasn't just possible, it was practical. It was economical. SpaceX began offering flight-proven rockets as the standard. The cost of refurbishment dropped to a fraction of a new booster. The economics of space were being rewritten in real time. But Musk wasn't satisfied. Early boosters required months of refurbishment. To reach his goal of rapid reuse, he needed a machine designed for it. He needed the Block 5. The Block 5 introduced titanium grid fins that could survive re-entry without melting, and a thermal protection system that shielded the rocket like never before. Even the engines were upgraded. The Merlin 1D was now bolted, not welded, allowing for quick inspections and rapid turnaround. It was designed to fly 10 times with almost no maintenance. The ultimate goal? 100 flights per booster. Musk wanted rockets to operate like commercial aircraft, land, refuel, and launch again within hours. The impact was immediate. SpaceX's launch cadence exploded. They were soon launching more rockets annually than most nations. Space was becoming a routine destination. By 2020, reusability was the industry standard. The used rocket revolution was won. But as SpaceX conquered the Earth's orbit, their eyes were already on something bigger, much bigger. If reusability was the holy grail, the next mission was the impossible dream. To launch the world's most powerful rocket, land all 3 boosters simultaneously, and send a car into deep space. In Part 6, the heavy lift era begins. In 2018, Elon Musk made a decision that shocked the aerospace world. He scrapped years of work on carbon fiber and pivoted to a material used in kitchen sinks: stainless steel. It was cheaper, stronger in the cold, and ready to be welded on a beach. SpaceX needed a new home for this giant. They chose a remote patch of dirt in South Texas, Boca Chica, soon to be known as Starbase, the gateway to the solar system. The journey began with the Starhopper. It was stubby, ugly, and looked like it couldn't fly. But in 2019, it took its first untethered leap, proving that the powerful new Raptor engine could control a steel beast. Then came the high-altitude tests. Starship would do something no rocket had ever done: a belly flop maneuver, falling horizontally to bleed off speed before flipping vertical at the last second. It was high-stakes engineering in real time. The path to success was paved with explosions. One crashed too fast, another landed but exploded minutes later. SpaceX called them rapid, unplanned disassemblies. Each failure was just another data point. May 5th, 2021. Starship SN-15, hundreds of improvements, one goal, a safe return. As the smoke cleared, there it was, standing tall. The suborbital era was won. Starship was ready for the next level. The success caught the eye of NASA. They chose Starship as the vessel to return humans to the lunar surface. For the first time in 50 years, we were going back to the moon, and SpaceX would lead the way. But the moon was just a stepping stone. To reach Mars, Starship needed to go orbital. It needed a booster so powerful it would dwarf the Saturn V. It was time for the Super Heavy, the largest rocket ever built. 33 engines, and a tower with mechanical arms designed to catch a returning booster out of the air. In Part 8, we witnessed the most ambitious flight test in human history: the orbital debut. April 2023. The moment of truth had arrived. SpaceX was finally ready to launch the full Starship stack, the largest, most powerful rocket ever built by human hands. This wasn't just a test, it was a bid for the future of the species. At the base, 33 Raptor engines. Combined, they produced 17 million pounds of thrust, double the power of the Saturn V. It was more energy than the world had ever seen in a single machine. But the liftoff was violent. Without a flame trench, the exhaust acted like a jackhammer, creating a rock tornado that leveled the pad and disabled several engines. Starship cleared the tower, but at a terrible cost to the ground below. SpaceX adapted at lightning speed. They built a massive water-cooled steel floor, a sandwich designed to withstand the fire. By November, they were ready to try again. This time, the pad survived. IFT-2 introduced hot staging. Starship ignited its engines while still attached to the booster, a radical move that maximized payload. It worked. For the first time, Starship reached the edge of space. The path to orbit was open. March 14, 2024. IFT-3. Starship achieved its target suborbital trajectory, reaching orbital velocity of 26,000 kilometers per hour. It was no longer a prototype. It was a functional orbital spacecraft. In space, they tested the tools for the moon. They opened the payload doors and moved cryogenic fuel between tanks. Critical steps for NASA's Artemis program were completed in the silence of the void. Then, the world saw something never before live-streamed: the baptism of re-entry. A brilliant plasma field enveloped the ship as it slammed back into the atmosphere. Using Starlink, SpaceX captured every second. It was a data home run. Reaching orbit was the goal, but the mission isn't over until the ship is home. And Musk has one more insane idea: to catch the returning booster out of the sky with giant mechanical arms. In Part 9, we witnessed the catch. By 2024, Starship had proven it could reach space, but the mission isn't over until the ship is home. In the summer of that year, SpaceX would face its most harrowing re-entry yet. During IFT-4, a hotspot developed on the hinge of a forward flap. At 26,000 kilometers per hour, the plasma began to eat the ship alive. Viewers watched in horror as a hole burned straight through the steel. Remarkably, the ship held on. The computers fought the physics of disintegration and won. Starship survived the peak heat and executed a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean. It was a miracle of engineering resilience, but splashdowns were just the beginning. To reach the stars, the booster needed to return directly to the pad. Musk's next goal was something most experts called insane: to catch the world's largest rocket out of the air with giant mechanical arms. October 13, 2024, IFT-5. The world held its breath as Booster 12 roared to life. If you've enjoyed following this journey from a Texas beach to the edge of the galaxy, hit like and subscribe. 7 minutes into the flight, the booster returned. Plummeting through the atmosphere, it guided itself back to the tower with surgical precision. Thousands of health checks were happening in milliseconds. The command to catch was sent. Ignition. The landing burn began. The booster slowed to a hover, and then the impossible happened. The arms of Mechazilla closed. A 50-meter-tall rocket caught mid-air. Science fiction had become fact. In that moment, the economics of space changed forever. No legs, no barges, no waiting. The booster was home, ready to be refueled and launched again. Rapid reusability was no longer a dream. It was a reality. SpaceX had conquered the return. They had built the fleet. But the true mission was just beginning. Beyond the Earth, beyond the Moon, lies the red horizon. In our final chapter, we look to the future, the conquest of Mars. Orbit was the proof. Reusability was the economics. But for Elon Musk, the goal was always the same: Mars, a second home for humanity, a backup for the light of consciousness. The roadmap is set. In 2026, a fleet of 5 uncrewed starships will depart for the Red Planet. These pathfinders will test the first landing on a world that has buried many explorers before them. Before humans arrive, robots will pave the way. Tesla's Optimus humanoid bots will build the first infrastructure of Mars Base Alpha, a silent city of steel waiting for its citizens. Musk envisions a fleet of 2,000 ships, a train to Mars that delivers millions of tons of cargo. If you've been inspired by this journey, hit like and subscribe. The era of the multiplanetary human has begun. The philosophy is simple: resilience. We live on a fragile world. A multiplanetary presence is our insurance against the unknown. It's a bid to ensure that if something happens to the cradle, the species survives. SpaceX is no longer in the phase of experimentation. They are in the phase of implementation. The technology for interplanetary life is no longer a matter of if, it is a matter of when. From the spit of a Russian designer to a catch at the pad, SpaceX changed space travel forever. They made the impossible routine. They made the stars accessible. And they reminded us all of one thing: never bet against a dreamer. One day, a child will be born who doesn't call Earth home. They will look up at a tiny blue dot in the Martian sky and wonder how it all began. And they will know it started with a ship of steel that refused to stay on the ground.